All right, 2 weeks in France and about 800 kilometers later, I've landed back into my humble studio. Welcome. If you're new here, my name is Thomas. I'm a visual artist based in Belgium, and I mainly do drawing, illustration, and a combination of woodworking sometimes. In this video, you will see me working on the last drawing in a series of 5 drawings with custom frames that I've been making for an exhibition. If you want to see me making those frames, you can check out my previous video. You will see the entire process there. Also, the frames and the drawings will finally be coming together because, as you maybe know from last video, I made the drawings on vacation in France. So I didn't really know if it was going to work. You will see in a moment. You will also see me working on a little project with a friend of mine that's been going on for a while, in which I also talk about my way of drawing hands, because hands are a pretty important part of my artistic language, and I might have some tips for you. And then last but not least, somewhere in the middle of the video, you will see a special guest that I'm sure you're gonna want to see. Trust me and wait it out. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to say right now. If this all sounds good and you enjoy yourself along the way in the video, maybe consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel. And then let's get drawing. As you can maybe tell, this footage is not from in my studio, but actually still from on vacation in France. I finished this 5th and last drawing of the series after I uploaded my first video. In the last video I also promised to do like a little explanation about the drawings, because I didn't really go into that in the other video. This drawing is actually a little bit different from the 4 other ones. The 4 other ones always have like these 2 figures that are doing something together. But in this one you see there's no figures, there's actually just this like little camp that you would make when you were a child in the woods or something near your house. So this series and these drawings are all part of a little like a ongoing project or an ongoing series that I call Killing Time. Killing Time I both take very literally but also very figuratively. Obviously, like killing time, spending time when you're bored or just doing something to make the time pass. But then also in my artistic work I work a lot around themes like endlessness and infinity maybe even, and time is also a big part of that. For me, these figures are all kind of waging a war against time. That's kind of the overarching idea or concept that I'm working around. Also maybe interesting to know, these drawings don't really narratively follow each other, but they are like maybe part of a bigger story, that they're like different moments in a bigger story. And these guys are basically just preparing. They're preparing for their war on time, or like for an ongoing battle they're having. But it's not really clear what they're doing actually, or what they're preparing, what they're making. And that's kind of the thing I want to leave a little bit vague. Often they do stuff with sticks and stones. This is just because sticks are obviously connected to wood, which I love working with. And then also stones, I'm a big collector of just random stuff, which also gave me the idea of maybe having them use stones and sticks to make their weapons or constructions that will help them battle time in a way. How they do this is not really clearly stated, or it's not really clearly shown, but it's also, I mean, this is not finite. There's going to be more drawings around this theme in this little universe that I'm creating, and I hope to make like a kind of a narrative whole, in the sense that all the drawings and works I create in this little universe or in this setting could also all be part of like one big book or one big narrative. But you kind of, as a viewer, have to piece together yourself what's happening and what the storyline is in a way. While I was talking, you also quickly saw me putting together the frames. I did like a temporary solution with this cardboard backing, so they would stick better, and then with just tape. Usually I would use a wooden panel for this and some nails, but because I was kind of running out of time, it had to be a little bit quicker, but it works perfectly, and I can change it in the future. Here you see us in the exhibition space, me and my girlfriend. She's also participating in the exhibition, and we kind of helped also setting it up. Here you also see the final presentation in the exhibition space. I also made this bigger A3 drawing in front of the staircase. Sadly, I do not have any footage of the exhibition itself. I was very busy and it went by very quickly. But if you want to take a closer look at the 5 drawings or the A3 drawing I made, you can also check it out on my Instagram page. Okay. It's been about half a week since the opening of the exhibition, And I'm back in the studio now, and as you can maybe tell, it's quite a big mess in here. Partially because we just were very busy, and all the stuff that I had taken with me for the exhibition is still just laying around here. And also because we got a new friend in our house. We adopted this little guy. Our studio is on the first floor, and he is only currently staying downstairs. That meant that we had to kind of dog-proof everything downstairs first. So we kind of just dropped stuff here that we had to put in storage. And also after the exhibition, we built it up. It was kind of very hectic, so we just dropped everything here. But before I can get started here again, creating and drawing, and even have the slightest chance of him being able to run around here without pulling apart everything that's on the ground, I first have to do some cleanup. And during this cleaning up compilation, I'll quickly take the chance to talk a little bit more about the dog, because I realized I didn't say anything about him except for showing him for like 1 second. His name is Kratz, and he is a 1-year-old rescue dog we adopted about a week ago from the moment I'm making this voiceover. He's very sweet, he's very well behaved, he loves being around people and other dogs. So it's really a dream to have in the house. You will probably see him in future videos if he wants to lay around a little bit in the studio. If you want to welcome him, you can just put like hi Kratz or your message to Kratz in the comments below. Alright, that's a lot better. Now that the studio is kind of usable again, oh, car outside, I'll get to some sketching. It's been a few days since I think about almost a week since I've drawn anything, but I've been thinking about it a lot. I did already put some of them down here, but I just want to refine them a little bit more so I can see which ones are actually interesting to really go further with. I'm just going to do some sketching right now, not really think about the camera, so I'm a little bit more free. But I guess I'll see you in a moment. Excuse me, sir. Can I get your opinion really quickly? Do you believe people should be subscribing to this YouTube channel? In this last part of the video, you will see me working on an A4 drawing. It's part of a little project I'm doing with a friend of mine, Kevin Saro. He's a very masterful illustrator and draftsman, as you can see here. It's a drawing that he did. And it's part of a little letter project that we're doing, where we're sending each other drawings and also a message if we want. And then we react to each other's message, or visual message, if you want to call it that, with a new drawing. It can be anything, but we kind of use this like associative way of thinking about a new subject. In this case, he asked me to make it more Western, so I incorporated a little cowboy guy, as you see here in the sketch. And this project really originated from a mutual frustration in ourselves, where we were both getting very frustrated with the way we handled our drawings, and where it always had to be like something crazy, some crazy project or some crazy drawing and concept and idea. So we decided to limit ourselves to just these A4 drawings that we also fold, which kind of makes it worthless in a way, and also it can get lost in the mail, so it's kind of, you shouldn't be putting like hours and hours into it. So the idea is really that it's just for fun and just like a little way to get something onto paper without thinking about it too much. It's not that big of a deal. It's just for us. It's not going to be shown anywhere or something, except for this video, of course. And as I said in the beginning of the video, I want to quickly talk a little bit about hands and drawing hands. It's something that a lot of people really dislike because it's kind of perceived as being very hard, which it is, obviously. But I actually, in contrary, really like drawing hands. It's something that for me maybe comes a little bit more naturally, or I feel like I can do it pretty freely. But I wanted to quickly talk about the way that I do it and the way I use reference for hands. Because as you maybe saw like a few seconds ago, I don't really use a reference picture. Sometimes I do this, but most of the time I just use my own hands to look at them, to really try to observe them. This also makes it so that you don't have the reference next to you all the time. This also makes it so that you have to kind of improvise sometimes, but also gives you like a more dynamic pose. I know I'm kind of explaining this all over the place now, but basically it just comes down to understanding. Obviously you have to draw a lot of hands before you can get good at it. But drawing hands for me is also like kind of like sculpting. I feel like when I always kind of start with a silhouette of the hands that I want to draw, and then I start adding fingers, but maybe the first finger I add just in the end gets completely changed, because when you start adding other fingers it doesn't feel right anymore, or maybe your reference changed because you held your hand in a little bit of a different pose. So for me, drawing hands is really about adding and subtracting, like trying around, placing a finger, placing another one next to it, seeing if the other finger still works. If it doesn't, just remove one of them or both of them and start over. I know this is not really practical advice, it's more like of a way of thinking about it. And obviously the only way to get really good, as I said before, is just to draw a lot of hands. For me, hands are also kind of significant in my drawings because almost all of my characters are doing something with their hands. Like they're always doing an action with their hands, they're holding something or they're making a gesture. And I also feel like if something like this is important to you, if you feel like in your work certain symbolic aspects are very important, it's also worth it to really master it or to really practice that particular skill to get your drawings to the next level as a whole. Now, obviously, I am not saying that my hands are perfect, not in any way. That's really not what I'm trying to say, or that I mastered drawing hands. That's not how I see it. For me, hands also don't really have to be perfect. As I said, I don't really like to use photo reference. I'm way more into more dynamic hands, which I just try to draw from my imagination or like from visual observation. Sometimes it's also about realizing that hands sometimes just look weird, also in real life. You can take like an example of your own hand. Sometimes you can like contort. Sometimes you can like put your hand in a strange position that if you would draw it in that way perfectly, like photographically, that it still wouldn't look right. So hands for me are more about conveying something like a message or an emotion than really being perfectly and anatomically correct or hyper realistic in a way. Other than that, you are seeing me finish up this drawing here. So as you can see, it's this drawing of this cowboy figure that's shooting his gun at a little dude with a helmet, and all his bullets are like ricocheting off into the distance. And then finally, it's also time to fold the drawing and to get it into the envelope to send it back to my friend. So as I said, also really be sure to check out his Instagram page. It's very phenomenal to see the things he comes up with. And then without further ado, I think we're at the end of the video. Alright, there we are again at the end of another video. Video 2 is in the books. Thank you very much if you're still watching. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that to see your reactions in the comments, your questions. It's very fun to interact with people that look at my videos or that are interested in my work or my process. If you have any other questions or thoughts about this video, be sure to just leave them in the comments as well. If you enjoyed yourself during this video, maybe consider dropping a like or subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Then I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.